It's supposed to be fun, is a really fun episode of Everybody Loves Raymond. I don't have too many thoughts, as there's not a lot of variety in what happens, but I still ultimately enjoyed it. This is the 8th episode of the 6th season of Everybody Loves Raymond. It's directed by Gary Halvorson, and as always, there will be spoilers from now as I go through the episode chronologically and share some thoughts. And it starts off with the whole family watching Michael and Geoffrey play basketball. And Geoffrey is not really paying attention, he's just more interested in having fun, and Ray gives a few criticisms, and the other parents around him start cheering Geoffrey on, because they can't believe Ray would talk to his young child like that. And I feel like this is probably a common problem. I have seen loads of things on social media where parents have to be warned that this is just a game, it's just for fun, don't let it get too serious. And this is kind of what we have with Ray, maybe taking this children's fun basketball game a little too seriously. And the coach, Bryan, played by Dan Castellaneta, actually talks to Ray about this. And apart from the coach shushing Ray a few times, I feel like he handled it quite well, and I think he made some good points. Unfortunately, Ray remarked that Michael's good at sports, Geoffrey's good at going around in circles and pretending to be Scooby-Doo, and Geoffrey was standing right behind him and he heard it. And we're back at the house, and it turns out Geoffrey tells Debra he doesn't want to play anymore. He quit basketball. And Ray doesn't think it's a big deal, but Debra makes him realise that it is when Ray tells her a story about something Frank said once upon a time that hurt Ray and stuck with Ray. Because, and I love this, Debra pointed out that Ray had told that story before. I don't know if he's told the story in the show, I can't remember, but he has told the story before, and if he's telling it multiple times, then clearly it's something that stuck with him. And I think that's some really good food for thought, that if you are a parent like Ray, or maybe taking it a little bit too seriously, but you don't think it's a big deal, maybe think about how it would affect you if the roles were reversed. And Ray, to his credit, goes to talk to Geoffrey, and he basically says all of the right things. He kind of mixes up the tortoise and the hare and the little engine that could, which I thought was a delight. And Geoffrey still doesn't want to play. And we then cut to the next basketball game. Geoffrey isn't playing. I do like the fact that they didn't force him. Ray apologised. He said the right things. He tried to fix things. Geoffrey still didn't want to play, but then he was watching it and he decided he wanted to join in. And when the whistle blows and they have a break, Ray takes Geoffrey over and he's allowed to play. And I love this for 2 reasons. Well, 3 reasons. 1, I just like the fact that Geoffrey realised actually he did want to carry on playing. But 2, the coach was very welcoming. He could have very easily said, well, we're in the middle of a game now, you'll have to wait till next time. And 3, the coach definitely made the effort to make sure this is what Geoffrey wanted and not something that Ray was forcing him to do. So I really love how that was executed. I think it's quite exemplary. I think anybody watching it in any of those positions can learn something from this. So I think it was a really great episode in providing quite a lot of really great messages. And Geoffrey joins in and the others are all watching, and Geoffrey's still just having fun. He's running around with his hands like down his shorts but sticking out at the bottom, and he looks like he's having tremendous fun. The kind of fun you want children to have. It's silly, it's goofy, he's having a great time. None of the other kids seem that bothered by it, so what's the big deal? Ray gets a little too enthusiastic, and initially Frank moves over and decides he's moving with a new family and just turns to this guy and says hello. Which I thought was fun. And then we cut to a bit later and people have moved further away, and we cut again and Ray's just completely on his own in the middle of the benches. Everybody else has just parted, completely left him, which Ray should have really got the hint by that point. But it was really good fun. And then it's Geoffrey's turn to try and shoot the basketball into the hoop. And he does it. And Ray's expression was so amazing. And I genuinely got emotional because he was so overjoyed. And he got overexcited, but tried to play it down as if to say, it's okay, it's not a big deal, but well done. And then clearly Ray's thinking this is a big deal still. And Geoffrey did it again, and it was a joy to see. And Ray's leaping around, he's picking Marie up and patting Frank on his head. And it was fabulous. It was great to watch. And it's clear that Ray was very proud in that moment, but tried to make it clear that he would be proud regardless, and that it isn't a big deal, but to Ray, it clearly is. And it was a lovely moment. And then right at the end of the game, one of the kids turns to Geoffrey, or Michael, I can't remember. He turned to one of the twins and said, "Is that your dad?" And the twin just shakes his head, which, yeah, I don't blame him in that moment. And at the very end, Ray and Debra are in the bedroom, and Ray's walking around with his hands down his shorts, sticking out the bottom, which I have to say looked goofy fun on Geoffrey. Looked kind of terrifying on Ray, but it was a fun way to end things. So there's not a lot of variety in what's happening. Most of it is largely watching this basketball game, or these two basketball games, but it was really well executed, and I think if you are the Ray in the story, there are a lot of great takeaways. I think the coach, now I don't have any experience with kids' sports, barely played sports when I was a kid, never mind now. But from my perspective, I think the coach handled things really well. Coach Bryan was brilliant. So I think there are a lot of great takeaways from this. Definitely quite a funny episode. Ray tried. I don't think Ray ever intentionally meant to do anything wrong, which is usually the case with Ray, let's be fair. But I think he tried, and ultimately he was very happy, and so was Geoffrey. Geoffrey seemed quite happy as well. So I rather enjoyed this one a lot. It's supposed to be fun, is needless to say a pretty fun episode of Everybody Loves Raymond.